Welcome to EasyElimu Learning Simplified. My name is Eric. I'll be taking you through this topic, decimals, and for this lesson, we'll be looking at multiplication of decimals by powers of 10. So we will start by looking at multiplications of decimals by powers of 10. We'll see what does it mean when we talk about power of 10. And we will see some of the rules used in multiplication of decimals by power 10, by power of 10. And then we'll see some of the sample questions involving multiplications of decimals by these powers of 10. And then at the end of the lesson, be able to give you some assignment to help you practice, just to help you check on your understanding of, gauge your understanding of the concepts as discussed through this session. So there is this rule that is applicable when it's about multiplications of decimals by power of 10. So when you are multiplying a decimal by a power of 10, the decimal point moves to the right as many places as the number of zeros in the multiplier. You're going to see how that is applicable. For example, if you are multiplying by, maybe you are multiplying by, so let's say you have maybe 2.134, then you are multiplying by 100. So we're saying the number of zeros, remember we're talking about the number of zeros in the multiplier. So the multiplier is 100. So number of zeros in this multiplier here are 2. So we're saying the decimal point should move to the right. So you know this is right and this is left. So we are saying the decimal point should move to the right as many places. So number of steps, basically what to know about many places. As many places, you mean how many steps? So for example, decimal point will move from here 1, 2. So the decimal point will shift from in between 2 and 1 to in between 3 and 4. So this number will be 213.4 as the final answer. So we are going to see how that is applicable. See, that is the general rule that is applied when it comes to multiplication of decimals by powers of 10. So let's see how that is applicable and how true that is. So let's start by this first one here. We have 129 multiplied by 10. We want to see how. So let's just multiply normally and then we see is it really true that the decimal point should simply move to the right, you know, the number of steps that is equivalent to the number of zeros in the multiplier. So the rules that were used when you are multiplying decimals generally is that first of all you disregard the decimal point. So we have 129 and then you are multiplying by 10 normally, you know. So you will multiply by 0 first. Remember, all the digits down here must be multiplied by the digits, all the digits up there. So each digit down here is multiplied by all the digits up there. So 0 by 9 is 0, 0 by 2 is 0, and 0 by 1 is 0. Then now this one, it's the total value of this one is 10. So multiplication by 10 is that you just multiply by 1 and then you add 0 at the end. So we just add that 0 first. Then 1 by 9 is 9, 1 by 2 is 2, and 1 by 1 is 1. Fill up the spaces left and then add the zeros. So 0, 9, and then we have 2, and then we have 1. Then that is disregarding the decimal point. And then now what you do is to count the number of decimal places. So we have one decimal place, 1 dp here, and then we are adding, but this is where the decimal point is. So there is nothing after that decimal point. So it means 0 decimal places. This is giving us a total of 1 decimal place. So it means the final answer should have 1 decimal place. So by inspection after the multiplication here, where should the decimal point be so that we have 1 decimal place? So the decimal point should be in between 9 and 0. Remember, number of decimal places simply stands for how many digits of the decimal point. So we should only have 1 digit. That means the decimal point should be here. So that is 129.9. So we say again, the last zeros after the decimal point, they don't count that much. So you can ignore that 0 there. So ideally here, the answer is just 129. So it means then 12.9 times 10 is equals to 129. And you can see where the decimal point is. It has shifted from in between 2 and 9 to after 9, because for whole numbers, this is where the decimal point is supposed to be after the last digit. And of course, you can even see where it is there. So again, you can see the decimal point has shifted to the right. One step, because of 10. Let's see another example, on that. So again, you want to do the same thing here. First of all, count the number of decimal places that is going to be in the product. So we have 2 decimal places, and then you are adding 0 number of decimal places. I can't see any decimal point there, or I mean the decimal point is here, yes, but we can't see any digits after that decimal point. So it means there is nothing there. So 0 decimal places, giving us a total of how many decimal places? 2. 2 decimal places in the product. So we multiply normally disregarding the decimal point. So we have 1,299 multiplied by what? 100. So if you do that multiplication, all the digits down here will be multiplied by all the digits up there. So we have 0, 0, 0, 0. And then this one again, we start with 0 here, 0, 0, 0. Then now the third one, 100, will add the 2 zeros, because ideally multiplying by 100 will just add, multiply by 1, and then you add the zeros. So we have 9, 1 by 9 is 9, again 1 by 9 is 9, 1 by 2 is 2, and 1 by 1 is 1. Then you fill up the spaces left using zeros, and then you just add. So 0, 0, 9, 9 again, 2, 1. And of course, multiplication by 100, if you're multiplying 1,210 by 100, you just need to add the 2 zeros. It's just 1299, then you add the 2 zeros. It's so easy. You don't have to go through this process. Then by inspection, you're supposed to have 2 decimal places. So where should the decimal point be, so that we have 2 decimal places in this number here? This is where the decimal point should be, so that we have 0, 0. So you see the number here. What this means is that 12.99, this is 2, times 100 should be equal to 1,299. So you can see again the decimal point has moved to where? In between 9 and 0. So it was initially between 2 and 9. It has moved to the right. How many steps? 2 steps. So again, it agrees with the rule that the decimal point should just move to the right, to the right, the number of steps that is equivalent to the number of zeros, as many number of places as the number of zeros in the multiplier. So you skip 2 places, 1, 2. So the decimal point just move 1, 2, 2 places that way, and then you have that. So let's see one more. So we have again 129. So maybe you can get the number of decimal places in the multiplier in the product. So we have 1 decimal place in the product, in the first number. You add to 0 number of decimal places will give you total of 1 decimal places in the product. So that is getting the number of decimal places in the product. Then now you disregard the decimal point. So we have 129, and then you're supposed to multiply this by 1,000, So multiplied this by 1,000. So what do you get if you do that? So that is going to be, we say now, if you're multiplying by these powers of 10, for whole numbers, you just add the zero. So this is just 129. Then you simply add the zeros. We were able to see that in the previous example. And so where should the decimal point be, so that we have 1 decimal place? Just here. So the decimal places simply means how many digits after the decimal point. So this is where the decimal point should be, so that you have 1 decimal place. 1 digit after the decimal point. So this is going to be 12900.0. So this is going to be the answer, this product here. So what that means is 12.9, times 1,000, it's going to be 12,900, So because we said after the decimal point, the last zeros normally they don't count that much. So if you realize this is where the decimal point should be, then it means you can ignore this. So the answer is going to be that. This is what it is if we insert the decimal point. So it means now if you multiply these two numbers that we had up there, then the answer is going to be this one only. So it's going to be 12,900. So again, you can see the decimal point was initially in between 2 and 9, but it has moved to this position. For whole numbers, this is where the decimal point should be. So it has moved to in front of 0, this point here, after 0 actually. After 0 here. So how many steps? 1, 2, 3. How many zeros? 1, 2, 3. So that is the general rule that you're supposed to apply. So if you didn't use that long multiplication, now we know. Can we try and use the rule now? So let's try and use the rule now. So we have 12.9 and then you are multiplying by 1000. So what you do, you just write 12.9 and then you move the decimal point to the right 3 steps. So we have 1, 2, 3. So you see there is a 0 lacking here and there is a 0 lacking there. Then the decimal point will be there. So it means then 12.9 multiplied by 1000 should be equal to this. Now you rewrite it with the final position of the decimal point. So that is going to be 12900. That is now not going through the whole of this process, this process. So I've disregarded that process. I've used the rule that is used in multiplication of decimals by powers of 10, where the decimal point just moves to the right, a number of steps or number of places that is equivalent to the number of zeros in the multiplier. So if you have 3 zeros, the decimal point will move through 3 places. So again, now I'll not go through the long multiplication process. So I'll just use the rule here. The rule is that the decimal point should move to the right. How many steps? The number of steps that is equivalent to, or the number of places that is equivalent to the number of zeros in the multiplier. So here we have 4 zeros. So we have 12.9. How many steps will it move? So 1, 2, 3, 4. You add a 0 here, you add a 0 here, and you add a 0 there. You see? So this is where the decimal point will be. So we will not even indicate that decimal point because it's on the last, it is after the last digit, so it's not really significant. You can ignore it. So what it means then is that 12.9 multiplied by 10,000. So you write all this. So it's going to be equal to 12, 9, and then 3 zeros. Decimal point is here, but now that is after the last digit, we will just ignore it. So that is how we use the rule. The rule that is used. That is how we apply the rule that is used in multiplication of decimals by powers of 10. Powers of 10 simply means these numbers that are having 1 and zeros, like 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, and so on, those numbers. So we have some assignment to help you just practice on what we have learned through the session. So you can always attempt, post the response in the comment section. You can always be asking questions. We'll be able to give you feedback accordingly. Otherwise, that marks the end of the lesson. Goodbye.